have the line drawers. That's good. Okay, here we are, starting almost on time. And our first group is the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund. And what they're going to do, they're going to do the Assembly and Senate together, and like we did before, and then they're going to do the congressional separate.
Good morning, or good afternoon. My name is Stephen Ochoa. I'm the National Redistricting Coordinator for the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, MALDEF. As someone who's been part of a team that's also gone up and down the state, trying to listen to people, trying to make an informed map as possible, so that as many respects as possible, trying to listen to as many people as possible, make an informed map as possible, so that as many communities of interest are respected up and down the state. I empathize with the task that you guys have ahead of you. I also understand the sacrifices you have all taken. Time away from your home, time away from your families, your careers. So as a Californian, first I want to thank you for your service. Today, I present to you 3 statewide maps for State Assembly, State Senate, and U.S. Congress. These maps represent our best attempt to comply with all the rules of redistricting. It is a picture of that MALDEF hopes you will find of service when trying to make decisions on how you draw the state, particularly as you try to navigate the challenge of complying with the first 2 big rules of redistricting: one person, one vote, and the Federal Voting Rights Act, or VRA, as they will start shorthanding it throughout the rest of the presentation. MALDEF crafted some complete statewide maps based on our knowledge of redistricting law, experiences traveling throughout California on an advanced parallel track to your own public input hearings, and listening to what Californians said. Information we gained in our workshops, from our civil rights and civic engagement group work, and from observing the Commission's public input hearings. MALDEF feels that these plans can be of service to you as one configuration that fully complies with the Federal Voting Rights Act. Today I'll present 3 proposals. Given the time constraints and the large amount of districts, I will focus on going through the VRA districts in 3 plans, and then, if time permits, I will briefly show the demographic consequences and choices presented when drawing those districts first. Philosophically, these maps were constructed by drawing Section 2 and Section 5 compliant districts first. After that, we followed and tried to craft boundaries respecting communities of interest to the greatest extent possible after compliance with one person, one vote and the Federal Voting Rights Act. Overall, the congressional districts presented contain an overall deviation range of 1 person. So that's 0%, -1 to 0. The plan features an average deviation of 0. The assembly plans presented contain an overall deviation range of 3.99%, or plus or minus 1.99%. The Senate districts presented contain an overall deviation of 5.77%. Overall, MALDEF believes there are 17 Section 2 Latino Opportunity Districts on the state assembly level. There are 9 Section 2 Latino Opportunity Districts on the state Senate level. There are 11 Section 2 Latino Opportunity Districts on the congressional level. We believe that these are the goals for which the Commission should strive. MALDEF interprets complying with the Section 2 of the VRA to mean evaluating evidence that districts satisfy the district's satisfaction of the 3 prongs of Dornberg versus Jingles, as well as other factors that help courts in evaluating a plan that illegally dilutes minority voting strength. Recognizing that the Ninth Circuit believes that sufficiently large is meant to be a minority community, that a minority community must be at least 50% of the citizen voting age population, or CVAP. That is the metric we set out to achieve. The most reliable CVAP data we have available to us is derived from the ACS 5-year estimates from 2005 to 2009, which basically has a midpoint average of 2007, the year 2007. MALDEF felt that if we could achieve that metric with this out-of-date information, we were comfortable calling the district sufficiently large enough under prong 1 of Thornburg versus Jingles. So, with the Commission's permission, I wish to first present our State Assembly and State Senate maps, as they are related, then pause for questions, and then go through a congressional district. Before I begin, I do wish to tell that members of the public watching at home that the package I just handed to the commissioners, right here, will be either posted on maldef.org/redistricting, or if it's not there now, it will be posted very soon. You'll find PDF copies of this. All right, that's it. So I think let's get to some maps. So my GIS assistant, Jorge Gonzalez, will be running the show as I go through our districts. So we are going to start with Assembly. All right, MALDEF, I should note, for districting, for comparison purposes, I did not renumber the districts. I did my best to match them to the baseline. It was just more for comparison purposes. I know many people throughout the state view their regions by that district number. So I tried to line them up the best I could. But that's it. MALDEF Assembly District 30. MALDEF AD was created by removing excess population from Fresno and Kern counties. Keeping Kings together with northern Tulare and some of rural Fresno allows AD 30 to maintain its current voter participation levels near the benchmark figures. The benchmark district featured 46.8% Latino CVAP and 48.2% Latino registration. The MALDEF plan features a 45.6% Latino CVAP and a 44% Latino registration. Even though there is a slight drop in percentages, the Latino community's ability to elect candidate of choice remains the same effective level. MALDEF Assembly Districts 31 and 34. Another part of the reasoning for pairing Kings with Tulare rather than Fresno or Bakersfield was that community members of both cities advocated for separation if possible. Pairing Kings with Tulare allows Section 5 to be observed and affords a chance to create two Section 2 districts for Fresno City and for Bakersfield Latinos. Excess population growth in the Central Valley allowed for the extra Section 2 district to be created. The Kern portion of the existing AD 30 paired with southwestern Tulare County allowed for a second effective district, Section 2 district, to be added to the Central Valley, what we call MALDEF 34. And then to maintain the existing Section 2 district, AD 31, there was enough population generally in the western Fresno County, west of Fresno City, to keep that district at 50% Latino CVAP. It was necessary to go north, I should point out, to Madera City. MALDEF Assembly District 17. So the current AD 17 contains the Section 5 jurisdiction of Merced County. It also maintains the more immediate population pocket of Modesto. It trades the more immediate population of Modesto rather than the current district that stretches all the way to Stockton. So by the way, for those watching, the shaded colors on the map are the MALDEF proposed districts. Other lines are just counties and other proposals. MALDEF was able to better respect the community of interest and retain Section 5 standards by including parts of Modesto and Stanislaus County rather than stretching to Stockton. The benchmark contains a 35% Latino CVAP and a 33.7% Latino registration. MALDEF AD 17 features a 34.9% Latino CVAP and a 33.7% Latino registration for no retrogression of the Latino voter opportunity to elect candidates of choice. MALDEF Assembly Districts 27 and 28. The current 27 and 28 contain the Section 5 jurisdiction of Monterey County. Monterey County is split at the assembly level to protect the mostly Latino community inland compared to the non-Latino coastal community. The MALDEF AD 28 removes the non-Latino coastal communities of Monterey County and the San Jose area and adds the town of San Martin for population needs, which has a better relation to Gilroy than San Jose. The benchmark district AD 28 contains a 44.3% Latino CVAP and a 44.9% Latino registration. The MALDEF 24 features a 46% Latino CVAP and a 46.9% Latino registration for a slight increase in Latino voter opportunity to elect candidates of choice. Conversely, AD 27 was left the same, gaining more coastal areas in Monterey County and losing San Martin. So, moving to the Los Angeles County, MALDEF Assembly District 39. The current AD 39 is a protected Section 2 district contained in the East San Fernando Valley. It also arguably is a packed district. So also to respect the growing Latino community which is trending west of the San Fernando Valley and to impact that district, MALDEF AD 39 moves north to Silmar and west to include areas such as North Hills and Granada Hills, and uses the southern boundaries of the I-5 and 101 freeways and rail lines to produce an influence seat, which would be as AD 40. MALDEF Assembly Districts, sorry, that district should be 40 in our plan. Sorry about that.
Which?
Sorry, the blue. So the 39th is the red district, which is the East San Fernando Valley, and then we have another influence district right underneath that, stretching from Sun Valley, Van Nuys, Canoga Park, which is an influence district, not a Section 2 district.
And that should be 40?
That should be 40. Apologize for that. Can you hide the Senate districts, please? Right. Sorry, our Senate districts are showed up. We're going to hide them right now to stop the confusion. There we go. Sorry. So, but 39 is the Section 2 seat. MALDEF Assembly Districts 45, 46, and 53 in central Los Angeles County were drawn as ways to try to respect nearby communities of interest while trying to unpack two existing Section 2 districts. MALDEF AD 45 is anchored out of East LA, which has been kept mostly whole in this configuration compared to the benchmark plan. It is made up of the Latino community of interest neighborhoods of El Sereno, Lincoln Heights, Highland Park, Eagle Rock. Mostly the northeast area of Los Angeles City. Additional related neighborhoods of Silver Lake and Chinatown are also added for both relationships, one person, one vote compliance, and also to impact the district to allow other Section 2 districts to be drawn. South Pasadena was also added to help unpack the district and shares a modest relationship with the Eagle Rock Highland Park area. Current AD 45 is also a Section 2 district in the benchmark plan. AD 46 is anchored by most of the southeast cities in Los Angeles County. It stretches north through most of Boyle Heights, downtown Los Angeles, and it follows the 101 freeway into the Hollywood area. Current AD 45 is also a Section 2 district in the benchmark plan. MALDEF AD 50.
Is that 46 or
46. 45 and 46 currently exist in the benchmark plan. We maintain them. And we've moved them to create the 53rd Assembly District, which is a new Section 2 district that we feel is mandated by the Voting Rights Act. It runs north-south, mostly starting from the Florence Graham area to the south, following the southeast city borders, generally bounded by the 110 freeway on the west and the southeast cities on the east, goes through Pico Union and ends with Koreatown in the north. MALDEF Assembly Districts 50, 55, and 60 are in the southeast part of the county. So MALDEF AD 50, 55, and 56 generally flow from the southeast cities towards southeastern Los Angeles County. They were drawn that way in those ways to try to respect communities of interest while trying to unpack two existing Section 2 districts. AD 55 is a new Section 2 district mandated by the Voting Rights Act. Generally follows the 110 freeway south from Linwood to the San Pedro Wilmington area. Starting from Linwood north, the district takes care to go through Paramount, around Compton, includes North Long Beach, eastern part of Carson, which is split, and ends in the San Pedro Wilmington area down on the harbor. It adds parts of Watts in the north and western Long Beach for one person, one vote compliance, and to address VRA compliance issues for unpacking. MALDEF AD 50 is anchored in the north by Southgate and Bell Gardens and Downey, and it goes south for unpacking it goes south for unpacking an existing Section 2 district and for community of interest purposes through Bellflower and stopping at Lakewood. It picks up portions of Long Beach for one person, one vote considerations. MALDEF AD 56 is anchored in Pico Rivera and features strong related community of interest of Whittier, Los Nietos, South Whittier, Santa Fe Springs, and Norwalk. It includes the Cerritos Artesia area to the south and La Habra Heights for unpacking purposes, and the eastern portion of La Mirada for one person, one vote necessities. Moving to the San Gabriel Valley, MALDEF districts 49, 57, and 58. So MALDEF District 49 is a Asian Section 2 district. It's the West San Gabriel Valley that has a core of Alhambra, San Gabriel, Rosemead, Monterey Park, and it continues into Temple City along with San Moreno and Arcadia. And it takes a modest portion of the city of Montebello to the south and splits El Monte in a way that attempts to respect both the Asian Section 2 needs and the Latino Section 2 needs of AD 57 to its east. AD 57 is another existing Section 2 district based in the eastern San Gabriel Valley. It is anchored in Baldwin Park, the Puente Valley, West Covina, and reasonably includes neighboring cities of Duarte, Azusa, and Monrovia, and Walnut, and part of Covina for unpacking purposes. MALDEF AD 58 is anchored in part of the East LA, East Los Angeles, Commerce, and Montebello, and stretches along the 60 freeway going through Almonte, Acevedo Heights, the city of Industry, and La Puente. It includes Hacienda Heights, Diamond Bar, and Roland Heights which are their own communities of interest and for unpacking purposes, and it is bound by Section 2 Districts 49 and 57 to the north and AD 56 to the south. Finally, it concludes in La Habra in Orange County, which is also whole for voting rights compliance, and also to avoid the splitting of another city and to stay within one person, one vote. Moving on to the Inland Empire, Pomona Valley and Inland Empire, MALDEF District 61 is an existing Section 2 district that takes the whole and related cities of Pomona, Montclair, Chino, Ontario, and part of Fontana for one person, one vote purposes. AD 62 is another existing Section 2 district which is anchored in Fontana, North Rialto, and North San Bernardino City. The reason there are some city splits is because we created the new AD 64, which is mostly in Riverside County. AD 64 is a new Section 2 district as mandated by the Voting Rights Act. It is anchored by Latino community members in Riverside County with the base of the Paris region going north through western Moreno Valley, parts of eastern Riverside City, and the areas of Sunny Slope, Rubidoux, Glen Avon, and taking the cities of Bloomington, parts of South Rialto, West Colton, and part of San Bernardino City to achieve VRA compliance. Moving to San Diego, MALDEF District 79. The current 79 is an existing Section 2 district. It contains the South San Diego City, Western Chula Vista, mostly following the natural community dividing line of the I-8 freeway, most of National City, Barrio Logan, Logan Heights, Lincoln Park, Encanto, and Mountain View. Part of National City was removed to respect a small Asian American community of interest, and the Lincoln Park and Encanto area were included to avoid cutting a small African American community. And then our last assembly district is Assembly District 80, which is an existing district near Section 2 strength. It contains Imperial County whole and pairs it with a strong community of interest in the Coachella Valley to the north, following Route 111. It includes population centers near Coachella, Indio, Thousand Palms, and stopping at Cathedral City. The last assembly district of note I just wish to mention is the Yuba County District, which is a Section 5 district, which we call MALDEF 3. It's comprised nearly of the whole counties of Lassen, Plumas, Butte, Sierra, Nevada, and Yuba, with a small part of Sutter cut for one person, one vote compliance. The district maintains a 8.6% LCVAP, and a 6.8% Latino registration, which is comparable to the benchmark's 8.1% LCVAP and 6.3% Latino registration. Can you zoom in, please, to District 3? It's in the north. There it is, that green one. Okay, so those are 17 Section 2 Assembly districts, plus a handful of Section 5 districts. Now I wish to show the State Senate. So as we switch plans, the one thing I wish to note about our State Senate plan is I started it from a benchmark of nesting the MALDIF Assembly plan and edited from there for voting rights compliances. The benchmark goes from the 6 district benchmark to 9 Section 2 Latino districts. So we're going to start in the Central Valley with District 16. So MALDIF Senate District 16 is the nearly whole nesting of MALDIF's 80 Assembly Districts 34 and 30 with minor changes. It maintains an existing Section 2 district and avoids the Section 5 retrogression for Kings County. The benchmark district for Kings County contains 50.9% LCVAP and 51% Latino registration. MALDIF's SD16 maintains the Latino voting strength levels by creating a district at 50% LCVAP and 49% Latino registration, allowing the Latinos to continue electing their candidates of choice. MALDIF Senate Districts, what we call 4 and 12. So the Central Valley and the Central Coast present unique voting rights Act compliance issues. First, Merced County and the Latino portion of Monterey County are currently placed together in the same district, creating benchmark figures of 37.6% LCVAP and 37% Latino registration. First, there's the pairing issue. From the MALDIF Assembly Plan, there are 3 Latino districts within the Central Valley. And with 2 nested, a third district, our AD 31, in Fresno County, is left without a regional partner to try to achieve Section 2 strength. However, if we look across the mountains, the non-regional pairing of MALDIF AD 28 in Monterey County and 30 do generate a Section 2 district for the Central Valley/Central Coast. MALDIF's at Senate District 4 is a new Section 2 district mandated that also avoids Section 5 retrogression for Latino voters in Monterey County. It features a 50% Latino CVAP and a 48.5% Latino registration, which are higher than the benchmark for current Senate District 12. Also note that this district was given an even number relocated from Northern California, so to keep these Senate District voters participating in the same election cycles to which they are accustomed to and avoids potential voter displacement. For community of interest reasons, Merced County is now placed with Stockton and Modesto to create MALDIF Senate District 12. While this results in some decrease in Latino CVAP and voter registration, there is no change in the Latino community's ability to elect candidates of choice. Am I running out of time? Okay. So that's the Central Valley. Moving to Los Angeles County. So MALDIF Senate District 28 is a new Section 2 district which is primarily constructed of the nest of MALDIF Assembly Districts 50 and 55. Drawing from it's a pairing of 53 and 46. It's starting with a base in the southeast cities, Los Angeles, and moving up through South Los Angeles, downtown, and culminating in Koreatown and Hollywood. District 22, next door, is primarily constructed as a nest of MALDIF Senate districts. Changing my notes. So MALDIF Senate District 27 to the south of 28 is a new Section 2 district which is primarily constructed from a nest of MALDEF districts 55 and 50. Starting with the base of the southeast cities, move south, please. Starts with the southeast cities, moving through Downey, Paramount, Bellflower, northwest Long Beach, and culminating in the San Pedro Wilmington area. MALDEF Senate District 27. MALDEF Senate District 30, which is to its east, is in the southeast Los Angeles County and south San Gabriel Valley area. It has a base of Pico Rivera, El Monte, La Puente, Acevedo Heights, Whittier, and Norwalk. It also contains the areas of Monterey Park, Hacienda Heights, Roland Heights, and Diamond Bar to maintain a community of interest area and vote for Voting Rights Act considerations. Therefore, MALDEF Senate District 22 features a base of East LA, Northeast Los Angeles city neighborhoods, and the western San Gabriel Valley, stopping just short of El Monte. Moving to the Inland Empire, or the Pomona Valley, the East San Gabriel Valley, Senate District 24, is the eastern San Gabriel Valley, which is paired with the Pomona Valley. So this was a pure nesting of MALDEF districts, Assembly Districts 57 and 61. Moving east to that is Senate District 32, which is a nesting of the MALDEF Districts 62 and 64. So it's based out of the Riverside area, same communities as the assembly districts, nice pure nesting right there. It's also 50% Latino CVAP. Our last Section 2 Senate district is District 40, which is along the border. This is a currently existing district and is a general nesting of MALDEF Senate District or Assembly Districts 57 and 80. It's also an existing district where we've maintained the general shape. It's a Section 2 district that is protected. And then mentioning Yuba County in the north, MALDEF Senate District 1 is a nesting of AD 3s and 4, which adds most of Placer and El Dorado County to Yuba County's Assembly District. As a result, Latino CVAP was moved from 7.86% and Latino registration moved to 6.6%, a small drop from the benchmark of current Senate District 4, which held an 8.6% LCVAP and 7.3% Latino registration, and does not construct a retrogression. I think this is the basic presentation of all our voting rights compliant districts. I think we can move on to questions.
Commissioner Filkins-Weber.
Mr. Ochoa, you had used the term, I heard it several times, I just want to make sure I understand you properly. You used the term for the purposes of unpacking. What do you mean by when you had described some of these areas? I think what you were referring to were certain cities or certain areas of cities where you were putting it with a high Latino population. But can you first explain to me, and I have a couple other follow-up questions, what you mean by unpacking purposes?
One form of minority vote dilution is putting more of a minority voter together than necessary, which prevents other opportunities to be drawn. So we draw fairly reasonable districts that also stretch to areas that allow more Section 2 districts to be drawn for legal compliance.
Okay, so you added other people to spread them out so that you could create more Section 2 districts?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a couple of questions. Your materials on page 6 indicate that you've held a number of outreach meetings, I think 14, and you had identified that 200 people total is who showed up at your meetings?
A combination of people attending our workshops as well as people emailing us various pieces of information.
So that 200 is made up of attendees as well as people emailing you?
Yes.
And so your maps are based on those 200 people. Was it based on any other outreach or any other information that this commission has elicited?
Yes. So we, of course, conducted our own outreach and had partnerships with other civil rights and civic engagement groups who we partnered to at least share information. That's not necessary, and they're endorsing our map. And then we also monitored the Commission's public input meetings, particularly for areas where we did not work, so where we needed guidance. I know we only I only showed you the voting rights districts, but we did draw the rest of the state as carefully as we could. And were areas where we were unsure, we would rely on partners' information or information we heard over the public input meeting to propose a reasonable direction.
And that's where I was just a bit confused, because I do notice you have, and I'm just going to run through these as an example of just the highlights that I thought was a little different than the testimony we received. For instance, you have South Pasadena separated from Pasadena, which appeared to be contrary to some of the testimony we received. You have Hollywood with Cudahy. You have Hancock Park with Huntington Park. You have Walnut without Diamond Bar and without Chino Hills. You have Bloomington in AD 64 that went all the way down to Paris. And I don't recall there being any testimony that went there. And I think in your SD district, you have Desert Hot Springs all the way down to Chula Vista. So I'm just trying to understand, was this your form of what you've used for unpacking purposes in order to create more Section 2 districts, or did you actually receive information that's contrary to what this commission has received to justify just those few examples that I saw?
These are these are proposals that are compliant with the Voting Rights Act, and sometimes you have to draw some of these shapes, and sometimes you have to draw communities in for one person, one vote compliance. So sometimes, and also to try to draw things in a way to also try to minimize some city splits sometimes. So you have to pair maybe less than ideal partners, but the voting rights compliance is the second-ranked criteria on.
What about your geographic integrity that this commission is supposed to pay attention to? And what I was glancing at actually was your section, your Senate District 33, that appears to go Chino Hills over the mountains into Yorba Linda, over a very large set of mountains into Villa Park, over another set of mountains all the way down to South Orange County of Lake Forest. So did you give any consideration to geographic separation of areas that we heard from some of the members of the public?
Well, so what happens, one of the, in developing the statewide plans, one area of a common pattern that occurred is that you have a knot of population in South Orange County, North San Diego County, and southwestern Riverside County. The population growth, coupled with the fact that there's a block of Section 2 district in LA County, forces the population to move south. So those pairings, first of all, in the Senate districts, they are very large. They're nearly 1 million people. So that was just a result of nesting those districts and trying to avoid one principle we tried to maintain was not going over the mountains from Orange County to Riverside County. It's a little harder that way. If we had to move population around, we would move south Orange County through northern San Diego County, then north again towards the Temecula area, because there are roads at least connecting those areas. And we're talking about large areas like Senate districts. These what seem like non-compact pairings have happened, and that was just a result of nesting those areas.
Just one other quick question, just for clarification. Did you say the population deviation, your highest was 5.5, or was that throughout all these districts?
That was the total deviation range for, I think, the Senate district. The average deviation, I would say, is 1% of the Senate on the Senate plans.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Anchetta and then Commissioner DiGiulio.
Thank you very much. I have two questions on your AD 64 and then one question on your AD 69. And I'm actually looking at Appendix 4, which has table data, if it wants to sort of follow along, but has percentages of Latino percentages and a variety of percentage figures. But so with respect to District 64, and I think there's also a couple of Senate districts that have this figure as well, you've got 50.0%.
Yep.
Now, that may be a rounding issue, but is it your assertion that 50.0 is sufficient to satisfy the Jingles first requirement?
That is the standard by which we're governed in this circuit.
Okay, very good. And have you generated any compactness scores under any particular measure? But
No, there's no recognized measures,
Right.
standard measure of compactness.
Okay.
It's
Well,
when you see it.
Yeah, and you've given us the equivalency files anyway, so we can.
Yes, I have emailed them. Hopefully staff got them.
Okay, we can always do that
If
ourselves.
not, they will be posted at some point on the MALDIF webpage as well.
Okay. So with respect to AD 69,
That is a Section 2 district I did miss. You are right.
yeah. So it's 53.6% CVAP, which is fine. However, but it is 72.6% VAP. And again, you referred to the Ninth Circuit case law requiring CVAP. But there are some issues, as you know, there's some issues around reliability and datedness of CVAP. So we might also be looking at VAP. So the question here is simply, because of the high percentage of VAP, it's 72.6%, did you consider potential packing issues, given that the surrounding districts are not too heavily populated with Latinos?
So again, the standard is CVAP, and that is what we used. We certainly recognize the limitations of this data, and particularly considering that the average year point is 2007. But this is what we drew this configuration to show that. First of all, it's an existing Section 2 district that we also tried to preserve that has had a history of electing Latino candidates of choice. And its state is effective. To pair it with another area would threaten the Section 2 integrity of the region.
Did you consider lowering the percentages at all? You came at CVAP at 53.6.
Right.
Had you thought about going any lower than that?
There was no other partner. This was not an issue. There was no unpacking partnership here. And also drawing it this way allowed me to maintain an Asian American community of interest out of AS 72, which our friends at APOC have passed along to me.
Great. Thank you.
Commissioner DiGiulio.
Sorry, I'm in the back row back here. Okay. I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to try and explain it because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. But in looking at 6 Section 2 districts, it appears to me, and my question is, was this map drawn simply to maximize the number of Latino voting districts? And I ask that because when I look at some of these, I'm going to take, and we're all kind of looking at our areas, I'm going to take a look at 8011 and SD, I think it's 12, for example, of Stockton, where you have a finger. You have a pretty good finger. You have a finger of just Stockton going down for 8011, and you have a finger of Stockton going up for SD 12. You also have in some of the senatorial districts, you have going across from the Central Valley into the coastal areas. I know just looking through, again, even just down in, what is this, Assembly District 52, you have Palos Verdes paired with Compton, and I don't think either one of those would probably want to be paired with each other. Again, not being an expert here, it appears to me that these recommendations are recommendations based on maximizing Latino voting districts at the expense of other criteria that we as a commission are undertaking, and this process is in terms of respecting communities of interest testimony, cities and counties integrity. Again, I'll go back to San Joaquin County. There's 3 different districts and AD districts in a county that could, with a finger. So again, it appears to me that it looks like this was done simply to maximize Latino voting districts, and I just was want to see if that was the case.
The second ranked criteria under the rules of the Commission in Prop 11 were full compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act. That was the second ranked following that order. Many of these districts were drawn for that reason, to comply with Section 2 and sometimes Section 5. I do want to correct, there is no finger on the Assembly side to Stockton. It was stopped at Modesto. I was able to disconnect the original finger, which did go to Stockton. On the Senate district and the Congress district, which we'll get into, it does go there. That blue line is not the Assembly district, the blue area, shaded area. Sorry, we couldn't hide that.
We have it on our map as.
So we made that a little more compact. And so instead of going to Stockton or around Modesto to Stockton, it goes into Modesto instead.
8011 still has a finger that goes down that green part right there.
Yes, and that's Stockton going pretty much kept whole going north to Sacramento.
But it's a
so it was
finger.
done in that way to avoid cutting the city of Stockton.
Okay, so again, I'm not a legal expert. There's things you have to comply with in order to, when you have an opportunity to create a Section 2, you need to do that. But it appears to me that if you stretch far enough and you pull from far enough and you make amoeba enough, you can probably get a Section 2 in most places. My thought was how much consideration was there into compactness and into respecting the community of interest testimony we've had? I mean, there's a difference. I understand complying with Voting Rights Act, but there's also an issue of respecting current existing dues and then also expanding them. I mean, again, if you go big enough and far enough, you could probably get a lot, but that's not necessarily always in the best interest of those people.
These represent, again, a reasonable, our best attempt to comply with Section 2, and then after that, comply with the fourth rank criteria, which is preserving cities, counties, and communities of interest.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commission? Mr. Filkins-Weber.
Obviously, I haven't had a chance to review all of your summary, but do you have a number as to how many cities you split?
So one of the great things about mapping is you're always tweaking. So we were tweaking until late in the evening last night. So we did not have a chance to get you the city and county split report. If given the opportunity, we will send you a supplemental report.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, I have a quick one. It might sound a little provocative. Could you get to the map that with Monterey Bay?
Monterey.
And if you could blow, I wasn't quite sure how narrow that line was.
It goes through Moss Landing.
Okay, so it's really Highway 1 then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. There being, Commissioner Anchetta.
There's no other questions. You can go ahead if you want.
Oh, Commissioner Blanco.
Yeah, Assembly District. Can we look at Assembly District 52? So I think this may be the one Commissioner Filkins-Weber referred to. Can you just walk me through the thinking on this one?
So, again, part of a philosophy is draw out your Section 2 districts first. After that, contrary, we do try to respect communities of interest to the greatest extent practicable. Talking with our friends at ARC, we asked them what did they want to do with this community, and their goal was to try to maintain 4 districts which have historically performed for the African American community. So if you imagine our districts 53 and 55, that red one and the green one, those are 2 Section 2 districts, and they stop short of the African American community. So the logic here is anchoring the African American community and sharing it so they can preserve their districts. It was done into some care to try to avoid splitting some of these various small cities as well. So if only a slight sliver of Torrance is split here. Carson is split, but Westmont is whole, Gardena is whole, Hermosa Beach, and then the 49th, El Segundo is whole, etc. So it was a combination of trying to preserve the African American voice, which we do not want to try to diminish, as our friends at ARC testified to previously.
And that pushes you into
right.
Palos Verdes.
Commissioner Anchetta.
So with respect to any significant districts with significant Latino populations below 50%, are you asserting any potential Voting Rights Act violations, either based on an influence claim or a coalitional claim?
Of course, we were focusing on the Voting Rights Act districts. There are a handful of other districts throughout the state on both levels, which are community of interest districts. In the South San Fernando Valley, we drew a district basically between the railways and Ventura Boulevard, going from North Hollywood to Canoga Park. It ended up around 39% Latino CVAP. And it was also, when that one was purely nested in the San Fernando Valley, it maintains, while not a 50% Latino Senate district in the San Fernando Valley, it does maintain a district that has been performing for decades for the Latino community. Similarly, on the state Senate side, we maintain a influence district out of the Santa Ana area to up through north of Anaheim into Buena Park.
Okay. So you are asserting VRA compliance. In other words, because communities of interest, again, as you know, is ranked lower. If it's, and it's, again, you may get the same thing anyway. But
Right.
if you're asserting a VRA, potential VRA violation, that's one thing. And again, a communities of interest thing is another thing. So since you've used the term influence or influence district, are you counting it as a VRA claim or as a communities of interest?
They are a community of interest districts that have traditionally performed.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blanco.
What did you have any what was your ballpark percentage for something that was packed?
I mean, it's you know it when you see it type of scenario. There's some parts of the state which have very large minority communities, such as central Los Angeles County, where many districts can be drawn, as we've demonstrated. There's some areas that are standalone communities, such as the Coachella Imperial County area or South San Diego, where only one effective district can be drawn. So the definition is if two or more districts can be drawn, you try to draw them. That's the legal standard and goal.
Okay, one last question will be Commissioner Dye.
I was looking at District 54 here. Can you tell me what the thinking was behind that district?
So what happens here is, so 55 and 50 above it, the blue one, are Section 2 districts. So what happens here is, what do we do with the rest of the...
Got pushed over.
Stop moving.
Got pushed over into Orange County.
So we did take, talking to our friends at APOC, we know there's a Cambodian community of interest in that Signal Hill, South Long Beach area, so we try to maintain it. And then the rest of Long Beach was paired south towards Orange County, does have some reasonable coastal and relationship issues. That was the thinking there. And then 72 was a community of interest district for a series of Asian American communities in Garden Grove and Westminster. So it was done in a way to try to avoid cutting those cities of Los Alamitos, Rossmore, down to, I believe, Huntington Park.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll wrap it up. Joe, thank you very much for your presentation.
Oh, I got one more map.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Who's ready for Congress?
Yes, I forgot about them.
I was going to say, I don't know. Our viewership just went up.
Pardon me while I take a drink of water. So, as I said at the beginning, in our congressional plan, we create 11 Section 2 Latino Opportunity Districts. Which is a net gain of 4 from the benchmark. We draw 2 districts in the Central Valley. So MALDEF districts, congressional districts 20 and 21, while are both Section 2 and Section 5 compliant district. Current CD 20 is a Section 2 district, and like all other types of Central Valley districts, we're overpopulated from the ideal, with benchmark figures of 50.1% Latino CVAP and 46.6% Latino registration. MALDEF CD20 becomes a primarily Fresno County-based district, separating it from Bakersfield. Compelled by the strict one-person, one-vote standards of a congressional district and the need to satisfy both Section 2 and Section 5 Voting Act mandates to keep the district at a specific Latino voter strength, several detailed cuts did have to be implemented. MALDEF CD21 is primarily Bakersfield and Tulare based, separating it from the regions of Fresno. Compelled again by the strict one-person, one-vote requirements for congressional deviations and the need to satisfy both Sections 2 and Sections 5 of the Voting Rights Act, again, detailed cuts did have to be made to keep a district at specific voter strength while maintaining that 0 deviation. Must note that there is a cut to Kings County. Maldiv acknowledges that the split of a Section 5 county of Kings. However, given the minority residents that were previously drawn with district figures of 50.1 Latino voting age for CVAP and 46% Latino Reg, and that the residents of the county would now reside into two districts of stronger or equal opportunity to elect candidates of choice, Maldiv feels no retrogression occurs. Moving to Los Angeles, Congressional District 28. The current Congressional District 28 was the focus of a minority vote dilution case as a result of the 2001 redistricting. The region of the East San Fernando Valley was a large, cohesive community of interest that had achieved Section 2 strength, but was separated as a result of the 2001 redistricting process. Maldiv CD 28 features the tightly knit communities of Sylmar, Mission Hills, San Fernando City, Pacoima, Lakeview Terrace, Sun Valley, North Hills, Van Nuys, Panorama City, Valley Glen, and North Hollywood, generally bounded by the Los Angeles city border to the north, the I-45 to the west, mountains to the east, and North Hollywood, Valley Glen, and Van Nuys to the south. In the central part of Los Angeles, Maldiv Congressional Districts 31 and 34. CD 31 is anchored out of East Los Angeles, which is put whole in this configuration compared to it being split up for over generations of redistricting cycles. It is made up of communities of interest of East LA, El Sereno, Lincoln Heights, Highland Park, Eagle Rock, and moving northwest along the 101 freeways towards Elysian Park, Echo Park, Koreatown, and Hollywood. CD 34 is anchored by most of the southeast cities in Los Angeles County. It stretches north through Boyle Heights and downtown Los Angeles and includes South Los Angeles along the 110 freeway and ending at Pico Union and just south of Koreatown. Maldiv Congressional Districts 34 and 39. So 38, I should say, 38 and 39. So 39 is an existing Section 2 district that follows the southeast cities, generally following the 110 freeway from Southgate, Linwood, Paramount, and through Long Beach and Lakewood through the San Pedro Wilmington area. CD 38 to its northeast is anchored out of Montebello, Pico Rivera, and naturally flows through the strongly related communities of interest of Downey, Whittier, Los Nietos, South Whittier, Los Santa Fe Springs, Norwalk, and it reasonably includes Cerritos, Artesia, Bellflower, Lakewood, and South and La Mirada. Congressional District 36 in the San Gabriel Valley is in the East San Gabriel Valley. Is a Section 2 district set efficiently in the East San Gabriel Valley. It features El Monte, Baldwin Park, West Covina, La Puente, and Azusa, and completes its total population needs by taking in Glendora, Covina, and San Dimas. Moving to the Inland Empire, Congressional District 44 pairs the Pomona Valley with the Central Inland Empire. And so it goes from Pomona, Ontario, Chino, Montclair, takes part of Rancho Cucamonga for one person, one vote compliance, and stops at Fontana. So therefore, its counterpart is Assembly District 43, which follows the same pattern of the Assembly and Senate District into Riverside, so Paris, Moreno Valley, up north through San Bernardino, Rialto area. These are both Section 2 compliant districts. And then our last congressional district is 51 in the San Diego Imperial Valley. Current CD 51 was also the focus of an intentional minority vote dilution case as a result of the 2001 process. Maldiv CD 51, starting with the existing congressional district as a benchmark, made minor edits to make it a new legally mandated Section 2 district. The neighborhood of Barrio Logan, which was intentionally removed 10 years ago, was added back into the district. So the area, and mirroring what happened in our Senate district, it still continues to the border through Imperial County. Bonita was removed from the benchmark as was part of National City to preserve an Asian American community of interest. So those are the Section 2 districts of the congressional plan. Now I can move to the other parts of the state, or I can answer questions.
Commission's preference. Go finish up the maps and then go to questions. Why don't you finish up the map?
Yeah.
So these are the Section 2 districts that we drew. And again, just to can you please move to this Orange County, San Diego area? This is just to tell you the population flows. If LA County is a cap, in particular if you're going on the congressional plan for one person, one vote to zero deviations. So the population moves through South Orange County, and we just followed as much of the population flow as we could. One of the rules we had was we did not want to go from Orange County to Riverside County border because of the mountains there. So it's much tougher. At least there's a freeway connecting the Temecula area to the North San Diego area. So this is one area demographically in the state that you as a body will have to make a lot of directions. We do maintain the Congressional District 47. While not at 50% CVAP strength, it is a district that has been electing a Latino candidate of choice for over a decade now, and it is an effective district. And so again, you draw around some of these districts to create your plan. And I would probably venture to guess that the city split report on the congressional plan going for an actual one-person deviation would be higher. And sometimes those choices did have to be made.
Commissioner Blanco?
Yeah, so take us back to where you cross from San Diego County into the San
Right.
Clemente area.
So stop.
Okay? So Congressional District 42.
Mm-hmm.
And just like we've asked you before, because this is so much information,
Please zoom
walk
out.
us through the thinking on this, because as you know, if you've been watching, this came up a lot. Like,
Right.
please don't put San Diego in
So-
with Orange County. So just
thi-
walk us through the thinking.
So this was a challenge. So again, if you imagine LA County is a cap, that's a northern border for you in this region because of all the Section 2 districts that have to be configured in a very tight way. You go down, can you move to Orange County, please? So some of the districts flow down this way. So Long Beach has to go with Seal Beach area, following the coast. So then if you're leaving the efficient district around Santa Ana alone, you have to kind of go around Santa Ana, then into the Orange. Then you start in Orange. You're able to put those Brea, Fullerton, Placentia communities of interest together, but it still needs to capture population. So your choices here could be either to split Tustin and the city of Irvine, or what I did, I just went around. One option here was I went around Irvine to keep that whole, to add whole cities in the southern counties. So those cities are, of course, communities of interest together in their own right. But the one person, one vote requirement, you either choose to split cities here or split cities later. So this was just one demographic choice we made here, just to try to avoid city splits. For example, if you look at the area between 48 and 47, move to the Orange District, south. So there's a bunch of smaller communities too with hills. The roads aren't exactly clear. So it's just where do you draw the lines? The population flow forces you some places. And if you reasonably, again, our guess was that the mountains from Orange to Riverside really aren't, that's a tougher community of interest sell than from Temecula to Oceanside or Escondido. So it's just a challenge. This is where the population knots up. A lot of growth happened in the South Orange County, North San Diego County, and Western Riverside. Mm-hmm. And if you can't go up, because of LA County, you either go over the mountains here, or you go by following the freeway. Here, I just try to move the demographics around the hills.
Commissioner Anchetta.
If you could pull up CD 34, please. Okay. According to the table, you've got 63.8% CVAP, 75.9% VAP, and 80.2% total Latino population.
This is a very highly immigrant community.
Yes. Okay. And there may be some related considerations regarding geographic integrity, but adjacent districts, you've got 39, which is Section 2, you're asserting, and then 33, that may be just too low. You're thinking that's too low.
So districts 33, 35, and 37 are the 3 African American districts that we try to maintain to allow their communities to maintain their districts that have long elected their candidates of choice. I should also point out that drawing these Section 2 districts did allow us to create close to Section 2 strength Asian American districts in the West San Gabriel Valley. That District 32 is basically the core of Asian cities of Alhambra, Monterey Park, San Gabriel, etc. Follows the city of industry through Hacienda Heights, Rowland Heights, Diamond Bar, Walnut, and Chino Hills for some relationship and population needs. So that district ends up at 43% Asian CVAP, not Section 2, but it's snug between a bunch of Section 2 districts.
Okay. So for 37, given that you've just said, then the African American CVAP or VAP, either one, would have gone down if you put or if you had raised the Latino CVAP in 37, you would have decreased African American CVAP. Is that correct?
If we decrease,
well, let's say again, if I'm saying 34 might be packed, and you want to spread it a little bit, and you've got at least one Section 2 around it, and you wanted to sort of lower the percentage in 34, so it's not packed. Would 37 have worked to try to do that?
District 34 is a Section 2 compliant district, and it would be compliant at a 50%.
Sure.
This was just an attempt it was a nice community of interest as well, bounded by other districts and considerations around it.
Okay, and we'll look at the numbers as well. Thank you.
Any other questions from the Commission? With that, thank you very much, Mr. Ochoa.
Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you.
We could start preparing for the next group.